Emily had always been the kind of person who gave her all to others. A dedicated nurse working night shifts at the city hospital. She knew the demands of the job, the long hours, the constant care, the lives she helped mend. But as she walked down the quiet hospital halls, the only sound accompanying her was the soft hum of machines and the occasional shuffle of her shoes against the linoleum floor. The hospital, a place of healing for many, had become her own sanctuary of solitude. Despite her bright smile and professional demeanor, Emily's heart ached with a longing she couldn't ignore. Love was a distant dream, a wish that had been swept aside by the weight of her responsibilities. She had no one to come home to at the end of each shift, no one to share her day with. Her friends had families, partners, and lives that seemed to complete them. Emily? She was always the helper, never the one being helped. Yet in her heart, there was a need to feel loved, to be seen, to have someone who would truly care for her. And it was that very need, that longing for connection, that would lead her to a moment she would never forget. The night was growing late when Emily's shift took an unexpected turn. A new patient was brought in, a young man who had been in a car accident. His name was John. He was in his late 20s, and though his injuries were serious, there was a mysterious aura about him that immediately caught Emily's attention. His deep-set eyes, filled with a mixture of pain and sadness, seemed to tell a story he wasn't yet ready to share. As she walked into his room, Emily noticed how quiet the air felt around him. He lay there, staring blankly at the ceiling, almost as though he had withdrawn into himself. His wounds were bandaged, and he had an IV hooked up to him, but there was something else, something unspoken in the way he held himself. Emily gently checked his vitals, her heart skipping a beat as she realized how much she longed to help him, to heal the wounds not just on his body, but on his soul. She couldn't explain it, but there was an undeniable connection between them. "I'm Emily. I'll be taking care of you tonight," she said softly, breaking the silence in the room. But John didn't respond. He simply nodded, his eyes never leaving the ceiling, lost in his thoughts. Emily left the room with a strange sense of urgency building within her. Something about John's demeanor haunted her, a presence she couldn't shake. The following night, Emily found herself once again in John's room. This time, she was more determined to break through the silence. She had seen countless patients, but there was something about him, a heaviness in his eyes, a sadness that tugged at her heart. As she entered, she noticed he was awake, his gaze distant but alert. "How are you feeling today?" she asked, sitting beside his bed. She didn't expect much of a response, but to her surprise, John spoke. "Better than yesterday," he said quietly, his voice low but steady. "But not good enough to be anywhere but here." Emily could see the pain in his eyes, the frustration in his voice. There was more to his story than a car accident, but he wasn't ready to share it. Not yet. But Emily, for some reason, felt compelled to understand. Why? What had happened to him? The days passed, and Emily found herself returning to John's room night after night, drawn to him in ways she couldn't explain. He began to open up, little by little, sharing pieces of his past, his failed relationships, his struggles, and the things that weighed him down. But even as John spoke about his past, Emily could sense his distance. There was a wall around him, and no matter how much she tried, she couldn't fully break through. Yet, as she sat beside him, listening to his story, she began to feel something stirring within her, a connection that went beyond patient and nurse. It was something more, something she had been longing for, something she didn't realize she needed so desperately. "I'm not good at this," John admitted one night, his voice trembling. "I don't know how to trust anyone anymore. I've been hurt too many times." Emily felt the weight of his words, her own heart aching as she realized just how much they had in common. Both of them had built walls around themselves, afraid to let others in. It was late into the night when Emily found herself once again sitting beside John's bed. The hospital had quieted down, the world outside the window was still, and all that remained was the soft sound of their voices. This time, however, there was something different. The air felt thick, the space between them charged with a tension that neither of them could ignore. John reached out, his hand brushing against hers, sending a shock of warmth through her body. Neither of them spoke. The silence between them was louder than any words could have been. For the first time, Emily felt a deep, undeniable pull toward him. And she could see it in his eyes. He felt it too. "I didn't expect this," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible, the confession hanging between them. "I didn't expect you. I didn't expect this connection." John's hand tightened around hers, and for the first time since meeting him, Emily saw something different in his eyes. There was a flicker of vulnerability, of hope, and of something neither of them had allowed themselves to feel in a long time: love. As the days wore on, the connection between Emily and John grew deeper. Their conversations turned more personal, more intimate. They shared things they'd never told anyone, things they didn't even realize they were holding on to. They had both been living in the shadows of their own loneliness, but now, for the first time, they were beginning to see the light in each other. But with that growing closeness came a complication neither of them had anticipated. Emily's professional boundaries were clear. She was his nurse. She was supposed to be caring for him, not becoming emotionally involved. But as the days passed, those boundaries began to blur. She couldn't deny it anymore. She was falling in love with him. But what would happen if she crossed that line? Could they truly be together, or would the consequences destroy everything they had built? Can love really blossom in a hospital room between a nurse and her patient? Will Emily's professional boundaries hold up, or will her heart make the decision for her? Like, comment, and subscribe to follow this emotional journey. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next chapter of Emily and John's love story. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of unexpected love, and let's find out what happens next. The hospital had grown quieter, the sounds of beeping machines and the shuffle of footsteps, now distant memories, as Emily entered John's room once again. It was just past midnight, the shift change having occurred hours ago. The world outside the hospital seemed to pause, as if holding its breath. Emily stood at the threshold of John's room, her hand hovering over the doorframe. The air inside felt heavy, charged with a tension that she couldn't quite place, but could feel in the pit of her stomach. As she stepped inside, the soft scent of antiseptic mingled with the sterile quietness of the room. John was awake, sitting up in bed, a book resting in his lap. His eyes flickered up to meet hers, his expression unreadable, but there was something there. Something that she hadn't seen before. Something vulnerable. Something human. The first time I saw him like this, I thought it was just a fleeting connection, that I was projecting my own loneliness onto him. But as each day passed, that connection deepened. And now in this moment, I felt something unmistakable between us. A pull like gravity. Something that could either lift us up or drag us down. I wasn't sure if I was ready for it, but I couldn't turn back now. Emily softly, breaking the silence, saying, "I thought you were supposed to be resting. You're awake too late for a patient." John quietly said I couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts running through my head. Emily hesitates, sitting down beside him on the edge of the bed. She can feel the weight of his words, the walls he's built around himself, but there's a quiet storm in his eyes. Every word he spoke was a riddle. He would say just enough to make me want to know more, but not enough to truly understand him. And it drove me crazy. I wanted to know what haunted him, what made him hide behind that stoic mask. But every time I got close, he'd pull back. Emily gently places her hand on the edge of the bed, just inches from John's. The air between them grows thicker, heavier. John notices the gesture, his eyes flickering down to her hand. His breath catches ever so slightly. The days turned into nights, and with each shift, the bond between Emily and John grew undeniable. Emily tried to keep her professional distance, but it was getting harder. The lines were blurring, and so was her resolve. That night, as the rain beat softly against the windows of the hospital, Emily found herself sitting beside John, once again, caught in the tension of an unspoken connection. John's hand trembles slightly as he reaches for the glass of water on the table beside him. Emily watches him, feeling a sense of longing she couldn't suppress. John, with a sigh breaking the silence, said, "You know, I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always this guarded. I used to believe in love, in trust. But then, everything changed." Emily looks at him, her heart thumping in her chest. She wanted to ask, wanted to know what had happened to him, what broke him. But something told her that pushing him too hard would only make him retreat further. So instead, she reached out, gently touching his arm. Emily softly said, "You don't have to tell me if you're not ready. But you don't have to do this alone, John. Whatever happened to you, it doesn't define you." John's gaze flickers toward her, his eyes searching hers for something. In that fleeting moment, Emily swears she sees the walls around him crack just a little. The tension between them grows, the attraction undeniable. He didn't say much, but his eyes said everything. I could see the pain in them, the years of scars that ran deep. I wasn't just seeing a patient. I was seeing a person who had been broken by life, by love, by loss. And for the first time, I realized that I wasn't just his nurse anymore. I was his listener, his friend, and dare I say it, maybe something more. John reaches out and touches her hand, his grip tight but gentle. Emily's breath catches in her throat. His touch ignites something inside her, something she can't explain, but something she doesn't want to ignore. John whispering, almost in a trance, saying, "You don't understand. I've been hurt so many times. I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore." Emily's eyes soften. She leans in just a little, her voice a soothing whisper, and said, "You don't have to trust anyone right now, but I'm here, John. I'm here for you, and if you'll let me, I'll stay right here." For a moment, the world outside fades. All that matters is the quiet connection they're sharing. The rain against the windows, the soft beeping of the heart monitor, everything falls away. The only thing left is the palpable energy between them. As the night deepens, Emily finds herself struggling with the pull she feels toward John. She has crossed the line. She knows it. She has begun to care for him in a way that goes beyond being a nurse, and she knows it's dangerous. But despite the risks, she can't ignore the intense emotions brewing within her. I should have stepped back. I should have walked away. But when John looked at me like that, with those eyes full of longing and sadness, I couldn't. I couldn't walk away from him, not anymore. There was something between us that felt right. Despite all the rules, despite the consequences, I couldn't deny it. Emily's heart races as she watches John lean in, his breath brushing against her skin. The moment feels like it's stretching, holding them both in suspense, neither of them knowing what the next step would be. John, in a low whisper, "I never thought I'd feel this way again. I never thought I'd want to trust someone. But with you, Emily, it feels different." Emily closes her eyes, her heart pounding. The moment is electric, charged with both fear and anticipation. She leans in closer, their lips brushing, sending a rush of emotions through both of them. The kiss is gentle, tentative, but filled with all the unspoken words they've been holding back for so long. The following morning, Emily wakes up, the weight of what happened hanging heavily on her chest. She knows the rules. She knows this could cost her everything, her job, her career. But more than that, it could cost her heart. Emily, overwhelmed, and said, "What have I done? I knew this was wrong. I knew falling for him, crossing that line, could ruin everything I've worked for. But I couldn't stop. I couldn't walk away. And now, I'm left with a choice. Do I run, or do I face the consequences and hope it was all worth it? Will Emily and John's connection survive the weight of their actions, or will their bond be broken by the consequences of their choices? Like, comment, and subscribe to find out. Hit the bell icon to be notified when the next chapter of this intense love story drops. Share this video with someone who believes in love's ability to heal and change lives. Join us as we dive deeper into this emotional journey.